When it comes to plug-in hybrid three-row luxury SUVs, your choices have always been limited to the Volvo XC90 and the Lincoln Aviator. However, for 2024, Lexus is looking to throw their hat into the ring with this model here. This is the first ever 2024 TX 550h Plus. The TX, as you guys know, is built on the same excellent Toyota Grand Highlander architecture. However, this model here has a unique powertrain, a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 paired up with 2 electric motors and up to 33 miles of electric-only range. So today we're actually out here in Austin, Texas for the media drive of the all-new TX, and the big question I want answered, has Lexus managed to create the ultimate plug-in hybrid family SUV with this model? Stay tuned to find out. So before we start talking about the styling differences with the 550h Plus, let me go ahead and pop the hood, because that is basically the star here with this particular version of the TX. And I suspect this is a powertrain that a lot of people are going to be eager to get their hands on, because this is the only TX model that comes with a V6 engine. That's right. Whereas the Grand Highlander only comes with a 4-cylinder only lineup, this offers a V6. So it's a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated direct injection V6. It's essentially the same 2GR V6 that we know and love from so many other Lexus products. The engine on its own makes around 259 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. Now, it's paired up with 2 electric motors. So there's one in the front, and then there's a separate e-axle at the back, giving this vehicle their direct 4 all-wheel drive system. Although there's no physical connection between the engine and the rear axle, it's again powered by that separate electric motor. Lexus says the total combined output when you factor in the 2 electric motors is 404 horsepower. Now, that is recommended on premium rated gas. Lexus doesn't quote an actual torque figure, a combined torque figure, but like I said earlier, around 247 pound-feet of torque for just the V6. And as you guys know, electric motors have a ton of torque basically right off the line. Now, it's paired up with an eCVT, so this is the only TX model that uses a V6 and a continuously variable transmission. Lexus, however, wasn't ready to talk about the battery capacity size as of this filming. I suspect it's probably around the same 18 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion unit that you also find in the Lexus RX plug-in and the Lexus NX plug-in. Regardless, Lexus claims that you'll do about 33 miles of all-electric range, and when you guys have it juiced up with electricity, it should do about 83 mpg, which is the MPG equivalent. Without having without having the battery pack fully charged, you should do around 29 MPG combined, basically 28, 29. So this is actually the most fuel efficient version of the TX family as well. So that's kind of a win-win for Lexus, which is why people probably want this powertrain. Now, in terms of the 0 to 60, Lexus claims 5.9 seconds. It should have a top speed of around 112 miles an hour, and this model here will still tow a maximum of 5,000 pounds. So it's really great for those of you who want to tow. However, because it has all that extra battery pack and the electric motors, this is the heaviest TX. It weighs in at just under 5,400 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, if you guys want the 550h Plus, you're gonna have to wait until early 2024. It only comes in one fully equipped trim level, which is the luxury trim. So if you guys were hoping to get the F Sport package on the 500h, it is not available on the TX 550h Plus. It actually only comes as the luxury trim. You can see the front fascia has this new grille on the front. Lexus is calling it a unified spindle, which is a very interesting design. You can see the actual grille itself doesn't have quite as big of openings as the regular spindle body or spindle grille. You have this like kind of crevice here that allows for air to pass through to, again, cool up the engine. There's the radar sensor here for the adaptive cruise control. You have the Lexus logo. You have some chrome details here. And then the headlights, you can see the headlights are full LEDs. You have an LED daytime running light, LED turn signal, LED low and high beams. However, Lexus's premium triple beam full LED headlights are not available on the TX right now. I suspect Lexus may add that at a later date, but for now you can only get just the single projector style LED. You also have these LED fog lights down here at the lower fascia, and you can see without the F Sport handling package, the front fascia of this car is a little bit less aggressive. You don't have quite as much blacked out accents. I wish that Lexus would actually offer the F Sport package on the plug-in hybrid. I do like the way this car looks, although at some angles I suspect some of you may confuse it for a Grand Highlander. It just doesn't have the same kind of Lexus look that I expect from other vehicles like the new Lexus RX, for example, or the Lexus LX. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see Lexus says this is the biggest SUV that they've ever built at 203.1 inches long. This is about 2 inches longer than something like the Grand Highlander, its platform mate, and it's around 11 inches longer than the Lexus RX. Now, compared to the old Lexus RX L, this is also about 6.5 inches longer. It has the same width as a Grand Highlander at 78.5 inches, and it's a little over 70 inches tall. So it has that boxier shape that you're looking for to give you all that interior space on the inside. Now looking at the wheels, the 550h Plus comes standard with the 22-inch kind of satin silver finished multi-spoke wheel. It's riding on a 255 by 45 R22 tire. So these are the biggest wheels that Lexus has ever put on an SUV. It also has the bigger brakes from the 500h. These are a massive 15.7-inch front rotor clamped down by a 6-piston caliper. So again, it's going to give you that better stopping power because it needs that. This vehicle, again, weighs a lot heavier than other Lexus models. It has a 4-wheel independent suspension. However, unlike the 500h, this car is lacking the adaptive variable suspension, the adaptive dampers, and the dynamic rear wheel steering. So you can't get that on the TX, unfortunately, or not the plug-in hybrid version, but you do have, again, the fully independent suspension setup. Now you can see there's a lot more chrome here on the actual belt line of the vehicle. There's chrome along the side mirrors. These are power folding. And then this color here is called Nightfall Mica. So you can see it's a very, very sparkly dark blue. In certain lights it almost looks black. It looks good with the chrome trim. It's got these chrome accented roof rails which are low profile. Unfortunately, however, if you guys are looking for a sunroof or a pano sunroof, Lexus says they won't offer it on the plug-in hybrid, which is very disappointing. I suspect it has something to do with the weight balance. Perhaps this car is already too heavy. They can't have too much equipment on it, which is going to upset the weight a little bit more. And then over here, you can see it has this same interesting design detail here where it almost has like a floating pillar here at the D pillar with more of that chrome. The rear of the vehicle definitely looks more Lexus-like. It has the signature full LED light blade that Lexus has been introducing on several new vehicles. You can see it spells out Lexus boldly. Back here, you have full LED taillights where you have an LED brake light, LED reverse light, LED turn signals, all that very nice. And then you can see over here, this is where you're going to find the 550h Plus badge with their Direct 4 badge. That's to signify that this vehicle comes standard with all-wheel drive. The Plus means it's a plug-in hybrid. Now, speaking of plug-in hybrid, you want to know where you plug it in. The charge port door is over here on the passenger side rear of the vehicle. You can see it has the standard J1772 plug. Lexus says it comes standard with a 7 kilowatt level 2 onboard charger. So there's no DC fast charging, obviously. Lexus didn't quote any charging times, obviously, but I'm going to suspect probably on a level 2, 4 to 5 hours, something like that, depending on if you have up to 48 amps that you have access to. In terms of some other details here, you can see it does have a rear wiper. It has a rear spoiler back here. I would have liked to see the wiper kind of tucked underneath here to kind of give it more of a seamless look, but I think it's a handsome look and it definitely looks a lot more like a Lexus from the back here. Now let's talk about the cargo area because the TX 550h Plus, you might expect it to actually have less cargo space because of the bigger battery pack, which by the way lives under the second row. Thankfully, the cargo space back here is the same. You have 20.2 cubic feet of storage space. Lexus claims this is actually best in class, which it's actually pretty much the same as the Grand Highlander. Underneath here, you do have a little bit of storage underneath here. However, the plug-in hybrid model does not come with a full-size spare. If you guys go for the other TX models, it has a full-size spare. This model here only has a fix-a-flat kit because of the fact that it needs space to, again, put that larger battery pack. The third row is power folding. It's standard power folding on all the plug-in hybrids. So basically, you just push that button over here and that will electrically fold down the third row back here, which does have room for 2 people back there. Lexus says when the third row is folded, you have a little over 56 cubic feet of total storage space. If you fold down the second row as well, it expands it out to around 97 cubic feet of space. 97 cubic feet of space is actually 10 more cubic feet than something like the Volvo XC90 plug-in hybrid. So if you're looking for the best in terms of cargo capacity, the new Lexus TX plug-in hybrid should definitely be at the top of your list. So now that we've talked about the exterior of the TX plug-in hybrid, let's go ahead and hop into the interior of this vehicle, which it has a really nice, easy step-in height. As I get in and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on the same TNGA architecture that also underpins other Lexus models. Now here's the key fob for the vehicle. You can see every TX comes standard with their intelligent access key. It is basically the current Lexus fob. It's very different versus Toyota vehicles. You can see it has your usual lock, unlock, power liftgate, panic feature, and you also have a remote start function. If you press the lock button 3 times in sequence, then hold the lock button on the 3rd time, it should also start the car up. This car also offers their digital key function as well if you get the technology package, which means you can use your smartphone as a key as well. Now starting the vehicle up, you can see the start stop button is mounted up high here, which is nice because you're not going to lose sight of it behind the steering wheel and whatnot. And because this is the plug-in hybrid model, you can hear there's no traditional engine starter noise. Instead, it just kind of whirs to life. It shows ready in the instrument panel. And then in terms of this interior color, this model here has an interior color called peppercorn, which it looks looks black in certain lights, but it's a very, very dark brown. Think again, the color of a peppercorn, an unground up peppercorn. So it's a very, very dark brown. It also has the ultra suede perforations. It's got heated and cooled seats. It's got some contrasting stitching. The seats also adjust in 12 different ways. You have 3-person memory here on the driver's side, no memory on the passenger side. But overall, let's go ahead and take in this cabin, because compared to the Grand Highlander on which this is based, you can see Lexus went with a completely different look for the dashboard and for the materials. And let's start here with the door panel materials. You can see this upper portion here is a soft touch injection molded plastic. There's some soft leather. This is actual leather in the interior. When you guys go for the luxury trim, you can see there's leather here over the Marks Levinson speaker, leather padded over here where I rest my elbow. The window controls, they have that typical high quality Lexus feel. They're one touch for all 4. A lot of the controls and buttons here feel really high quality. You also have the digital latch system here. So if I push that button here, that opens the door. And if the power goes out, you can basically just pull that twice. That'll also manually open the door for you. There is not as much wood trim in this car. I think Lexus says they've been going away with wood, but considering this is an early pre-production car, there's not a squeak or a rattle in here, and everything feels really nice. Now, in terms of the dashboard, you can see you have this massive 14-inch touchscreen, which is standard equipment on every TX, and then this is also the first Lexus product that is a fully digital instrument panel. This is a 12.3-inch display. It's standard when you guys go for the premium trims and up. This is, again, a fully digital 12-inch display that's similar to what we see in the Grand Highlander and other Toyota products. It's nice to see Lexus is finally throwing in a fully digital instrument panel. And then you also have some soft touch injection molded plastic materials here, soft touch over here, more of that ultra suede over here with some aluminum trim. There is some thematic ambient lighting splashed throughout the cabin as well. That's standard when you guys go for the luxury trim. I can't show it to you now because we're at a first drive here and it's bright sunlight outside. You also have a heads-up display as well that's included on this trim. And then the steering wheel, you can see this is the newer Lexus steering wheel. It's got a power tilt and telescoping adjustment. It's got paddles on the wheel to control the ratios on the CVT transmission. It also has their Lexus Safety System 3.0, so it has a camera here that watches your face to make sure that you're paying attention. You got some touch sensitive buttons over here. The leather on the steering wheel also has that typical Lexus high quality feel. The horn, it sounds pretty nondescript, but it also doesn't sound puny. It sounds appropriate given the size of the vehicle. And then over here on the center stack, you can see you have some actual knobs here for your dual zone temperature control, which actually it's a 3-zone temperature control because the rear has their own climate controls. You have air vents here. You have 2 or 3 USB. There's a total of 7 USB charging ports. They're all USB-Cs. And then over here, you can see there's your wireless phone charging pad, which is a completely different design, obviously, versus the Grand Highlander. I like how you can basically slide this while your phone is still sitting there. There's a hidden storage with a 12-volt power outlet here. You have your full 360 camera as well. If you push that button, it'll do a perimeter scan, which that to me is kind of a useless view. Lexus and Toyota have been doing this for a while, but it kind of just shows you an overview scan to see what's around the vehicle. Really, in reality, most of you are going to just be putting it into reverse. You're going to see the full top-down view with a crystal clear resolution. So Lexus has really been upgrading this system a lot, and I love the fact that the 14-inch display is standard equipment. And you can see here my phone is connected wirelessly via CarPlay. It has over-the-air updates. It has wireless Android Auto, and this looks pretty nice. I like how the climate controls basically stay down there, although there were times where the climate was disappearing and it was kind of giving me a full screen. At least when you're in the Lexus system here, you can see it gives you a full screen. And then if you kind of hit a few other buttons here, you can go to a settings menu, you can go to a vehicle menu here, we can change your drive mode selector. There's normal, sport, eco, and custom. And then you can also show a couple of things here like your seat controls. You can also show an energy flow, driver assistance. So that's actually a new graphic there. I haven't seen Lexus show kind of like this actual plug with an actual plug there going into a battery pack. So that's newer graphics there. So it's nice to see that Lexus is kind of upgrading their system. You can see there's the embedded GPS, which is a cloud-based GPS system. So this won't work when you don't have actual signal, like LTE signal. So that's something to keep in mind. Most of you will say to hell with that, and you'll just use the Google Maps or the Apple Maps or the Waze, for example, since most of you are probably using your smartphone anyways. Now, in terms of wood trim, you're probably wondering, where's the wood trim? There's a little bit of wood trim right here, as you can see on the inside of the center console. It's kind of like a matte finish, dark black wood, which I think actually looks good. I wish it was splashed throughout the cabin a little bit more. These cup holders are also modular. Lexus says that you can basically pull them out. You can stick them into the second row and the third row as well. You can wash them out. They're huge. Also, Lexus says they tested this to actually carry those massive big gulps from 7-Eleven, for example. I like how, again, this whole thing comes out. The drive mode selector, I'm sorry, the transmission selector is here. This controls your CVT transmission, where it's an electronic shifter, so you kick that to the left, then down to go to drive, kick it back down to go to sport, and then kick it forward to go to reverse, and then you basically push this P button here to go to park. Your drive modes, different drive modes are here as well, where you can go into a hybrid mode, an EV mode, an auto EV mode. You can also go into a charge mode. There's also a trail mode here in the all-wheel drive system, along with your electronic parking brake. I also like this new center console design. For example, it's got, compared to the Grand Highlander, it has kind of like a split design. So if I've got my elbow here on the armrest, the passenger here can still open theirs up to access whatever's in the center console. It opens up basically independently of each other, and you can see the storage bin there is also pretty deep, which is great for those of you who need to store away some items out of sight. In terms of the glove compartment, you can see it's damped and it's lined with felt. It's a bin style. It offers a good amount of storage. The Mark Levinson stereo in this vehicle also is an upgraded charge. It's got like 22 speakers. Lexus, again, does a really good audio system. If you guys are an audiophile, that's another reason to choose this over the Grand Highlander. You have some LED map lighting up here. You have a digital camera rearview mirror, which again gives you better visibility, especially if you got people back there or stuff. Above me here, because there is a lack of a panoramic sunroof, you do have considerably more headroom. I'm really sad to see that Lexus is not offering the pano roof on this trim, but overall, as you can see, it's got the build quality, it's got the luxury, it's got the tech that you expect, and it also has the space. The space especially is what Lexus needed, but overall, you can see the front seat area definitely feels a lot more like a Lexus versus the Toyota Grand Highlander counterpart. So the TX plug-in hybrid is obviously their flagship SUV in terms of size, and it also has the most interior space ever for a Lexus SUV. And when you hop into the second row here, you're really going to notice that. Now, first of all, if you guys want a bench seat, you cannot get a bench seat when you guys go for either the hybrid or the plug-in hybrid. Lexus says the packaging of the battery pack necessitated basically the captain's chairs, which is probably what most people want anyways. However, it does limit the seating capacity to 6 in this vehicle because the third row does not carry 3 across. But you can see in terms of legroom space, Lexus says there's around 39.5 inches of legroom. That's basically the same as the Grand Highlander. You can see the seats, they have the ability to move forward and back by pulling on this lever here where you can slide it forward and back. Obviously, if you slide it all the way up, you're going to give third row passengers more space, but this is with it all the way back. You can see I'm 5'7". I can get back here and cross my legs. I can get pretty comfortable. There's some good foot space underneath here. There's not a completely flat floor here. We'll have to show you guys the actual gas model to see if it is flat over there, but you can see you have your own set of climate controls back here, so it's auto climate control. You also have heated and cooled seats. The cooled seats are included when you guys have the captain's chair. So if you have the captain's chairs in the second row, heated and cooled seats are standard, which is nice. You have 2 more USB-C charging ports, an actual power outlet over here. You have 2 storage cubbies in each of the seat backs as well, and then you can see your rear seat vents are located here on the ceiling with some LED lighting. There's also these manual sunshades, as you can see, which is actually standard equipment even on the base TX. So it's nice to see that Lexus is including that. You can see there's also some soft touch injection molded plastic, more of that peppercorn leather splashed on the door panel. No wood. Again, I would like to see Lexus put more wood in this car, but it's nice and padded over here where you'd rest your elbows. And then this seat also does have the ability to recline and whatnot. So there's a good amount of space. And for those of you who are wondering, there's a center console here that's included with the captain's chairs. You can see these cup holders, they're the same ones from the front, so these come out, you can wash them out, and you can also take out this console entirely if you guys would like, and as you can see, it just pops out with one latch, and you basically just pop it back into place. So that's really simple as well, and it gives you an additional area to kind of get into the third row. But let's go ahead and hop into the third row of this vehicle, because the beauty about the TX is the fact that the third row can actually carry adults. Now, as you guys saw, Rob pushed the button there to allow the seat to slide forward. Now, as you can see, if you have a child seat here, you won't be able to do this. However, Lexus says their solution is basically just pull on this lever here, slide the seat forward, and you can still have access to it while keeping the child seat latched in place over here. So other manufacturers have a slightly better solution for this, but it's nice to see that Lexus was kind of thinking of that. Now, as I get back here into the third row, you can see in terms of space, so this is with the seat all the way back. Lexus says there's about 33.5 inches of legroom back here. Now, 33.5 inches is actually the same as the Grand Highlander. And I have to say, with the seat all the way back, for somebody my height, I could sit back here. My knees aren't touching the seat. which is nice. On a longer trip, I could definitely sit back here. You can see headroom space is enough for me, although if you're over 6 feet, it might be a little bit tight. You may have to kind of cantilever your head over to the right. You can see there's a big window over here that gives you some nice views, visibility and whatnot. You have a seat back, you can see, has a power recline function because it's a power folding third row, which is nice. I like there's a button here. I also like the USB charging port. There's actually 2 on each side, so more cup holders over here. There's a nice padded area here where you'd rest your elbow, so it's nice to see that Lexus is including that. There are no heated third row seats, however. Some manufacturers, like the Hyundai Palisade, for example, which isn't a luxury brand, offers a heated third row seat, but this is pretty comparable in terms of legroom space to something like the Palisade or the Pilot. This has way more interior space in the third row versus the Volvo and the Lincoln Aviator. You can see Lexus did remove the middle seat on this car because they wanted this area to be more comfortable. They said it's just not quite wide enough. You could fit 3 across, but it'll be a tight squeeze. There's also the same ultra suede and leather back here, which is definitely nice. There's also perforation here in the seat, so they could put like a heated seat function, but you can see here, if there was theoretically a middle seat, you could fit 3 across in here, but there is no actual seat belt here to allow you to do that. But overall, if you guys are looking for an adult-friendly third row and you want a luxury SUV with a plug, this one here is really the only game in town. So welcome to the interior of the 2024 Lexus TX 550h Plus. As you can see, I'm joined by several people. There's Alex from Alex on Autos or Auto Buyer's Guide, and then of course we've got Rob in the back, and then his new host / videographer, Travis, in the back as well.
You're my new host?
Alex's new host. So we're actually in the plug-in hybrid model, and obviously Lexus quotes a 0 to 60 at 5.9. It's probably not going to do that because we've got 4 people and all of our stuff, but let's go ahead and see what we can get in actual testing here. Alex, what do you think it's going to get?
I think it's going to be 6.5, maybe.
6.5. Okay, I have the traction
control.
Maybe,
we're lucky.
Yeah, I have the traction control off. I have it in sport mode. It's, again, almost fully charged. We'll wait for the traffic to clear. And
if you brake torque it, does the engine turn on? Ooh, it does. Look at that.
It also tells me you have both pedals pushed. All right, so let's see here. After this car, we can go, I think.
Yeah, the pull's not too bad. 2.35 to 30. 6, okay, that's believable. 6 seconds
with all of us in the car, which leads me to think that it's probably like 5.5 seconds.
That's not bad. But you know, even if it was 5.5, that would be a second slower than the Volvo XC90 plug-in.
Yes, the Volvo is definitely the speed demon, but I would argue that most people in this segment probably won't be caring that much about a 0 to 60 time.
The Aviator's also a tiny bit faster.
Yes, it is. However, I didn't love the way that powertrain felt. It was just
it's not rough. It's not smooth.
Rough around the edges. But this car, so what we're driving here is the very first V6 plug-in hybrid from Lexus. And I have to say, I like how Lexus went with the V6 here. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they pulled the V6 out of the bin because this is essentially the same V6 they used to have in the RX hybrid.
That's right.
And then they just added a bigger motor to it and a bigger battery pack.
Right.
And I'm kind of surprised because Toyota and Lexus have been on a tear dropping V6s from everything.
Yeah, and I mean, it was very unexpected, and it gives this car kind of an edge over the Grand Highlander because you can't get a V6. Although Lexus did not tell us how big the battery pack is in this car. They said that they'll tell us at a later date. We're estimating it's probably 18 kilowatt hours, the same size battery in the RX and the NX. Lexus claims 33 miles on a full charge. It was showing up to 41 at a 95% charge in this very short loop. So I estimate it'll probably do more than the 33 that Lexus is claiming. They tend to be conservative with that. But actually here, I'm glad that the light changed here, because what I want to do is I want to switch it over to hybrid mode here, or EV mode, and see what we can get 0 to 60 miles in EV mode.
Ooh, and will it stay in EV mode? That's the question.
It should stay in EV mode, but I just don't think we have a road to get to 60. So this,
we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there eventually, yeah, because the road's going to...
1.7 miles where you have to turn.
It actually feels pretty strong off the line. My foot is to the floor. It really falls on its face after my foot's to the floor, but
we're going, we're waiting. Eventually.
Wow.
Hey, you made it.
So that's with a 2% up slope. So 14.6, again, 4 people in the car. It's probably making, so this is 404 horsepower. I'd say it's probably making only like 150, 180 maybe in EV mode. So it's got less than 50% of the power. So Again, most of the times, the EV mode is going to be really nice when you're in stop and go traffic. On the highway, or when trying to get up to higher speeds, you're going to want to switch it over to the hybrid mode, which is probably where most people are. They're going to have it in the auto EV HV mode, which if I basically put my foot down, it'll wake up the gas engine automatically, and it gives you a lot of power. That's the one thing about these Lexus plug-in hybrid vehicles is, even though it's paired, this is the only model that's paired with a CVT, I actually like how it is using a CVT because the transition is so seamless. I think, Alex, we were talking about how this car has a parallel hybrid system. It's the more efficient option. Versus the serial hybrids.
And it's it's the best feeling CVT because it's not really a CVT in the way that we think of it normally. So it's it has no belt, there's no pulley in there, etc. So just its very nature allows the engine to spin it rapidly and change ratios quickly, etc. It works well for this kind of application.
Yeah, and I think for the kind of customer that's going to buy this car, they're just going to get in it. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be seamless. You're not going to feel the shudder or the weird changing of gears when it's in EV mode, because that's what you feel in some of those serial hybrids with the actual step automatics. The one thing I am noticing, so this car, Alex, you were saying is the heaviest TX, like 5,400 pounds.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. I'm surprised.
That's the reason why it doesn't have a panel roof.
No panel roof, no seventh seat, and relatively skinny tires, 255s here.
Yeah, I guess they could have gone with a fatter tire. Now, from behind the wheel, Lexus is all about their Lexus driving signature. So the way they mounted the battery pack in this car is it's kind of down low outside the cabin. So Lexus is trying to preserve your interior space. I definitely say, now Alex hasn't driven it yet. We're going to swap after this. I definitely say this car feels heavier than the last Grand Highlander I drove. Does it feel noticeably more refined to me than a Grand Highlander? I'd say the seats feel better, and the suspension feels a little bit better sorted. Now, this model is the luxury trim, so it doesn't have the adaptive dampers. We're going to eventually drive the F Sport or the 500h F Sport at some point. But let's go around this corner here. I'll put my foot down. Definitely feels front drive biased, obviously, because the rear electric motor only has like 140, maybe 120-ish horsepower on its own.
Yeah, rear motor is about 104.
104 horsepower.
Yeah,
okay,
about
so
104, yeah.
Not very much power just from the rear axle, although Lexus likes to say, it's an E-axle, it gives you like instantaneous power, much better than their older systems. And I have to say, the whole driving feel is very seamless, and I think a lot of people who are looking in this space, the typical Lexus buyer, they're going to really appreciate this. And really, your only competitor is that Volvo.
Yep.
And the Lincoln.
Yep.
And the Lincoln, although both of them, the Volvo is considerably smaller in terms of the cargo area. Legroom, you said it's pretty similar for the third row.
Yeah, legroom's not too far off. The third row here is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Cargo area is definitely bigger. But I'm going to go ahead and guess this is going to be a lot more expensive than the Volvo, at least as far as the entry point for the plug-in.
Right, so we don't have pricing on this car just yet, but the Volvo XC90 PHEV is around $873 to start.
Yeah.
I didn't see the price of the Lincoln. I don't remember if you know.
It's a little bit more than the Volvo's base plug-in hybrid pricing.
Okay.
But the the non-plug-in hybrid version of this is only $2,000 less expensive than the plug-in XC90. So, I think that this is going to be pretty pricey.
Yeah, I would say it's probably going to start in the low $80,000 range, but this is also the luxury trim, so it's pretty well equipped. There'll probably be a couple of a la carte options. So I'd say maybe $83,000 as equipped, which is a lot of money, but you can option up an XC90 to be around $87,000.
True.
Now that car does have air suspension and massaging seats, so...
And it's going to have a panel sunroof, and it's going to have the option for 7 seats, and...
Yeah, that is a little disappointing.
Wider tires, bigger brakes.
That is definitely a little disappointing, but I think what Lexus has done here is they've developed a powertrain that's very unexpected, but it also has the smoothness and the refinement that the typical Lexus buyer is going to want. Again, it was showing almost 40 miles of electric-only range, so at some point I'll have one of these for a week to test, and I'll see what I can get in actual real-world driving. But overall, I am very impressed with the way the PHEV drives. It's definitely not a sporty Lexus. We'll see if it feels sporty with the 500h. But I think for those of you who are, still on the fence between going fully electric, this is one of the few plug-in hybrid luxury 3-row crossovers out in the market. So as luxury 3-row vehicles with a plug continues to grow every year, it's nice to see Lexus finally entering that space, and they're entering it with a very unique option, because for those of you who aren't quite ready to go fully electric, as you guys know, everybody's going toward fully electric vehicles, the TX 550h Plus is a really nice option for those of you who want something a little bit in between. As you guys saw, it has really good acceleration in terms of everyday driving. 0 to 60 with 4 people on board, all of our crap was around 6 seconds, so I suspect this will be about a half a second faster faster versus Lexus's claim. It has the typical ride and handling balance that you expect from a Lexus. A cushy ride quality despite the fact that it's on 22-inch wheels. It's got a quiet interior as well with high quality materials, really comfortable seats, and it has a surprising amount of interior space on the inside as well. So that's really going to be a huge selling factor with the TX 550h Plus. I am sad to see that you don't have the F-Sport handling package available on this car. You don't have more colors available. You don't have the triple beam headlights. You don't have a panoramic sunroof. But I suspect as Lexus continues to ramp up production of the TX, they will eventually add those features in, especially if consumers and dealerships are demanding those extra options. In terms of availability, the plug-in hybrid TX, you're going to have to wait probably another 3 to 4 months to get your hands on this vehicle. Lexus says early 2024, and they haven't announced pricing yet as of this filming. However, if you look at the regular TX, that starts at around $55,000. The 500h, which is the hybrid version, starts at just under $70,000, 69 grand. So going with Lexus's theme here of their plug-in hybrids being more expensive, I'd probably estimate this car is around $10,000 more expensive versus the actual TX 500h. So I'd say this price this car when it does come out will probably come in at just under $80,000. That is my guesstimate. So we'll have to wait to see what Lexus actually announces as we get closer to the on-sale date. It should have very few options on this car because it is based off of the luxury trim. There should be a couple of a la carte options. So maybe with destination and the color charge, you're looking in the low $80,000 range. The beauty about the TX, however, is because this is the first Lexus vehicle to be assembled at their plant in Illinois. So this is going to be built in North America. If Lexus can squeeze in that price under the $80,000 cap, this car could theoretically qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. Now, of course, you could also just lease the car and also get the tax credit. But for those of you who want to buy the car, which it's a Lexus, most people want to buy these because they're known for high build quality and extremely excellent reliability. If they can squeeze it under that price cap, I think it's definitely going to be probably the trim level of the TX that most people are going to want. And I'm sure Lexus dealers are going to be selling these at markup because Toyota and Lexus still cannot build enough plug-in hybrids to satisfy demand. But really, after spending the day driving the TX 550h and driving the other models, I'm gonna go on record and say this is probably my favorite version of the TX because of the electric only range, because of the quick acceleration, and with the ride and handling balance, that Lexus signature driving feel that this car has kind of built in. It should be a really nice addition for those of you who have a family and you want something a little bit nicer than your usual Highlander or Pilot or Pathfinder and whatnot. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2024 Lexus TX 550h Plus. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.